Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sonny. I'm Joskos' Chief Technology and Change Officer. I've been in education for around about 30 years now, and I'm a passionate advocate of all things tech, including AI. We've also got Mark Ashton from my team. Mark, if you want to say hello, there he is.
Hi,
so Mark
everybody.
is going to be fielding some of the questions from the chat. So if you do have questions as we're going throughout the webinar, do feel free to post them into the chat. Either Mark will aim to answer those, or he'll stop me in my tracks so that I can jump in and answer those. Mark is also going to be running a series of other webinars alongside me for the rest of this term. So if you do get an opportunity, please do have a look at the Joskos events page. We've got webinar sessions around cybersecurity using Canva. So if you're not familiar with something like Canva, Canva is the thing that I'm using right now to do the presentation in. So this isn't a PowerPoint, this is Canva. And we've got a session on that coming up, and we've also got a session planned around Microsoft 365 and Teams. So lots of really interesting webinars for you this term. And the first one of those is on AI. So I'm just going to wait one more minute just to make sure we've got a few more people jumping in, because I know we've got around 25 people attending. So we'll just wait a few more moments. And in the meantime, do take the opportunity just to say who you are and where you're from. And again, we've got a real mixed crowd today. We've got some of our people joining us from Joskos. We've got some of our partners joining us, for example, YPO, and we've got some of our schools joining us as well. So again, thanks so much for taking the time to jump on this afternoon. Yeah, really appreciate it, and hopefully it's going to be an enjoyable session. I also just wanted to add that I'm going to be sharing both this presentation that I'm going to be using today, plus also a cheat sheet, probably via email tomorrow. So we've got your email address when you registered for the event. So look, do feel free to make notes. Many of us prefer to learn in different ways, but also at the same time, hopefully you've got a nice warm cup of tea or coffee. You can sit back and enjoy the show. And sometimes that really is the best way to take it all in. Okay, so look, I think what we're going to do is that we're going to get started, and as people join, they'll be able to pick up just where I am. So I'm going to drive straight in. So look, I want to focus on three things. And yes, that is a real photo, in case you're wondering. But look, those three things today are really to try and get you using conventional tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. If you use Claude, just using those in a better way so that the efforts that you're putting in around prompting LLMs like ChatGPT, you're actually getting out content that you can work with the first time. Now, hopefully, a lot of you had some experience of using LLMs like ChatGPT. So these are these generative AI chatbots. If you haven't, I expect you after today's sessions, you'll be going off and using those because you'll start to see exactly how it can start to save you some time. So look, my plan for the next hour is to focus on these three things that were shared in the agenda. However, if you've ever been to one of my sessions before, I can easily get distracted and go off on tangents. So you're going to have to bear with me. But if I think there's something that, it's really important that you understand, I'll probably just spend a bit more time. Okay, so look, just before we get going with the good stuff in terms of the AI in education, just a really quick reminder, okay? You're already using AI, okay? You're jumping onto a workshop today, as a bit of an AI masterclass, but actually, whether you realize it or not, from unlocking your phone in the morning using Face ID, scrolling through social media, sending a message, or even, if you wake up in the morning and do a Google search, from the moment you get up, AI is working in the background to help you with your day-to-day work and life, both on a professional and personal level. Look, it's your digital assistant, it's your commute, it's in your banking app, it's even in the Netflix shows and the Amazon products that are recommended to you. It is already part of your daily routine. And this session is probably less about framing AI as an application and a tool that kind of lives in your lives day to day, and more about how you can how you can use it to supercharge everything that you do moving forwards. And look, all of this use is despite the fact that in our psyches, at least, AI has had a really difficult start. Okay, these films, I, Robot, Ex Machina, The Matrix, and many others paint a vivid picture of AI gone rogue. So the underlying theme here is that AI generally cannot be trusted. So while Hollywood loves to dramatize these scenarios, they do raise some quite valid concerns about the ethical and security implications of AI in our world today. And as AI continues to advance, look, it's really essential to critically assess where the boundaries should be drawn. So AI ethics should form a regular part of the conversations in your schools with staff and pupils. We've got a live in-class webinar coming out, hopefully at the end of this month, for pupils on AI, ethics and online safety. So please do look out for that. But it's really important that all of this good use is coupled with you beginning to unravel, everything around the ethics and safe use and things like that. And look, as we study the ethics alongside improving your use of AI, suddenly what you'll start to realize is that it's no longer this kind of distant future concept. It's here, it's accessible as a service. And look, as the image shows you, and this is an AI image as well, even Einstein would agree that today your AI can sit with you ready to assist. And really, AI is like having Einstein in your pocket, for a specific subject or some specific context or understanding some historical context. If I think about my 15-year-old son, like many teenagers, he uses Snapchat. And Snapchat has been using an AI feature for actually over a year now. And it's a bit like having ChatGPT built into Snapchat. Okay. So it's already deeply woven into, the social media apps and the chat maps that young people are using. And as an adult, he will never experience his working life without AI playing a role in his day-to-day working. He's 15 today. The next 10 years with AI is going to be huge. He'll start working around, 22, 23 years old, by which time we will have seen so much progression when it comes to AI. So look, we all need to we all need to work really hard to try and stay ahead of this one. So what I want to do today is share with you some tools to frame where AI is today in terms of the sheer power and potential, but then also some tools and ways of using those tools so that they can unlock, extra time that you can spend on other things, but also kind of make you a bit more super productive moving forwards as well. Again, if you do have any questions, please do place those in the chat. And as I said, Mark will try and pick those up. But if not, he will stop me and then I can answer those questions. Okay, so for the next 45 minutes, 50 minutes or so, what I want to do is kind of really take you on a bit of a speed date with some of the applications that, showcase the sheer potential of AI today. So we're going to jump into some of those. Now, these are some of the applications that I often bring to the forefront when I'm running workshops with schools and trusts. And I'm showing you these today just to bring you into the loop around what's possible. Now, look, there's some great applications in here like Teachmate, Teachermatic. If you haven't already seen those, they will basically plan lessons and generate homework tasks for your staff. And these are really good applications, but I'm a big fan of educators, teachers, school leaders understanding the mechanics behind these kinds of applications. So the applications that you see there, for example, EduLaid, Magic School, Teachmate, they're all largely using the same kinds of tools behind the scenes. So when you prompt those applications, they're all pretty much using Haiku, they're using Sonnet, they're using ChatGPT 4.0, but they're basically using the same kinds of applications to process those prompts, but with a different shell around them. And I'm a big fan of people really understanding the mechanics behind those. Okay. I also think we kind of owe it to ourselves to really understand how these large language models work. Because the more we understand, the more we can distill to the young people around us as well, so that we can clue them up better for the future moving forwards. So look, I want to jump into some of these. Okay, now I am going to share the entire presentation with you, so feel free to not kind of, obviously you can take a picture of the screen, but what I'm going to do is just jump into some of these so that you can see some of the potential. So just bear with me for a second while I just move my screen over. Okay, if we just jump into some of the teaching ones first. So this is the Oak National Academy. So the Oak National Academy became hugely popular during COVID, where they had teacher-guided lessons made up of video content, PDFs, worksheets, etc., etc. It was inevitable that they were going to automate everything behind it through an AI chatbot. Okay, they've got a huge data set, which they can train their chatbots on to do things like this. So for example, I've already run this through actually just to save a bit of time, but just so you know, if you type in a subject in there, so for example, if I type in science, key stage 2, and I type in photosynthesis, photo, oh, plus me to choose a word that I can't spell. Here we go. Photosynthesis, okay, synthesis. There we go. What it does is it starts the whole process. And what that process is going to do is that it's going to basically create all of the lesson resources I need as a teacher to be able to deliver photosynthesis as a subject to Key Stage 2 pupils. Okay. Now, I did one a little bit earlier, but just so you know, from start to finish, if all I do is press continue, and I can choose to query what it's telling me, so I can go in and modify the outputs. But if I continue to keep pressing continue, there are 10 sections to complete. If I press that 10 times, what I will have at the end of it is an entire resource pack for that particular subject. Now, I've got one that I did a little bit earlier. Okay, so you can see here, for example, this was the end of Roman Britain for Key Stage 3 history. And what it's done is that it started working its way through. And the blue bars are where I've pressed continue. Now, that took about a minute and a half. And what I get at the end of it is I get this. I get a full-blown series of lesson plans, glossaries, key points, misconceptions, keywords, starter quizzes, exit quizzes, lesson plans, and so on. Okay, that took 90 seconds to generate based on that initial prompt. And if I head over to download resources, these are all the resources that have been created. You've got some PowerPoint presentations in there. You've got Word document lesson plans. You've got starter quizzes. Again, you've got PowerPoint slide decks and so on. So if I go to lesson plan, what you'll see is that it's going to generate the lesson plan in the background, and then I'll be able to download that as a PowerPoint, as a Word document or a PDF. Okay, so there we go. So if I download that lesson plan, it fires open. I'm going to just click on it there. And if I just move this over to my screen, what you can see here now is I've got my lesson plan. Okay, so what you can see is very quickly, we can go from text prompt to fully designed lesson plan with everything that you might need as a teacher. Okay, this application is free. So it's free for schools to use. It's experimental, but it's definitely a good way to get your staff engaged around using some of these tools. Now, of course, there are also out there applications like TeachMate. So if you haven't already seen TeachMate, they've made a lot of inroads into education over the last 12 months or so. But TeachMate has a whole host of different tools that you can use as an educator, including some free tools. And my suggestion is kind of always to encourage your staff to try out the free tools first before you make any significant purchases. Now, if I go to the concept explainer in TeachMate, and you'll see here, I've got the national curriculum in England. I'm going to choose year 5. I'm going to type in science, and I'm going to type in, let's have a look, cell division. I'm not sure if that's actually covered in year 5 anymore, so let me just change that to year 6. But there we go, cell division. And what this is going to do is it's going to take a little bit longer. It can take up to 60 seconds. But essentially what TeachMate have done is that they have created the shell that sits around applications like ChatGPT, so that you don't have to get too worried about the prompt. It's doing all of the prompting for you. And what I've got here now is I've got a concept explainer for cell division that should be pitched at the right levels. This is year 6. And what you can do is as you scroll down, you'll see you've got some options there. So if I want it to be, if I want this to be even simpler for younger pupils, it will do that. If I click on make it shorter, it will do that as well. And also I can download these as Word documents and Google Drive documents and so on as well. So if I click on explain in simpler terms for a younger student, it will go off and it will carry that out. So all of these different applications I'm showing you, hopefully you can already start to see that when they are applied correctly, they're a really good way for your teachers to start to understand how these AI tools can help them. But also crucially, you are going to start to save some time. And that really is the crux of this session today. So I did also have some other applications on my list. Okay, so so when we talk about generative AI, a lot of you will see generative AI as being something that goes from text to text. Okay. Now, look, the reality is that generative AI is text to any output. So any kind of media-based output, whether that's text or an image or a video or a 3D model or whatever it might be. So let me just show you what that looks like. I'm going to jump back into my applications here. And what I've got here is I've got an application called Suno. Okay. This is the free version, by the way, because you get, so it's loaded with credits that you can start to use straight away. And Suno is a text to music generator application. Okay, so I've asked it to write a song about a webinar on AI with Sonny on a Thursday afternoon. Can't wait until it's all over so I can get home to have my cup of tea and watch episodes of Coronation Street. Okay, now that song has not been created before. I purposely chose such joyful things like tea and Coronation Street. And when you press create, it literally takes about 30 seconds. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, let me just make sure that the sound is on. Yes. Okay, I've got two songs, right? So I'm going to play the first one. And what you'll see on the right-hand side is that it's actually generated the lyrics. So Sonny speaking tech jargon on a Thursday webinar. So if I press play, let's see what that sounds like. Can you hear that, Mark? Yeah, there we go. I'm going to play it for a few moments because the chorus is good.
Sonny speaking tech jargon on a Thursday webinar. My mind drifts from the screen now, wishing I was far. Virtual hands are raised up, AI insights on repeat. My thoughts are stuck on home now, Coronation Street. Keeping my blues hanging low, can't wait to end the show.
Now that was one of the songs it created. The other one sounded a bit like this, which is not too dissimilar.
Sonny speaking tech jargon.
Okay, so I'll stop playing that. But look, what I want to show you there is that in under 30 seconds, yep, anyone, so young people, teachers, students, staff, anyone, is able to create a song, or at least get the inspiration for a song. Not only the song, but the music, the composition of that, the lyrical structure in, again, under 30 seconds, right? Now, if you're a teacher and thinking about, well, actually, how can I use this? I've got one here about inspector calls. And if I just play that one, and you'll see it in a second, it will start up.
Down where secrets hide and shadows never lie.
Now, inspector calls is something that's on the GCSE curriculum for various exam boards. And actually, how can we make it more accessible to young people? You know, there's lots of great videos on YouTube, but also the fact that I can turn it into a song in 30 seconds just starts to show you the potential of how you can use this technology. Okay, so Suno is a good example of an application that is text, so generative text to songs or to music, right? I'm going to show you a couple more. This is an application called Skybox, okay? And what Skybox lets you do is it goes from text prompt to 360-degree interactive VR style world, okay? So this particular image is generated from this prompt: an overgrown, crumbling castle, ruins and a wide open grass plain with a blue river running through it, wildflowers, etc., etc. And this is a 360-degree image that is generated from that prompt. Okay. And for those teachers with interactive whiteboards or interactive screens, what you can start to see here is that now you can visualize in an incredible way those magical places that you're describing to your students as part of visual literacy and storytelling. Okay, but also for students to be able to do this, you know, and you'll see that if I add content to this, so for example, let's have a quick look. What kind of mountains have we got? So if I say the mountains are snow-capped, so snow-capped mountains in the distance, mountain, the distance, cows on the fields. What it's going to do is, and hopefully yours are a bit more descriptive than this, as in your stories are better than this, is it will just start to regenerate that entire image using the new prompt that I've put in. Okay, so again, look, you know, these for me, and again, this is the free version, by the way, these for me are just important tools that educators should have in their arsenal okay, as bookmarks that they can jump into at any point to just open up the way in which that lesson is being taught, the way in which that subject is being taught. So Skybox is a text prompt to 360-degree virtual VR 360 image generator. And look, the last one I'm going to show you is just this one here. Oh, there you go. It's just come back now. This is kicking in. I'll give it a few seconds. Here we go. We've got cows. And can you see now we've got snow-capped mountains as well? So snow-capped mountains and the castle and a cow. Okay, I can continue to build up now, moving forwards. And then look, the last one I want to show you is an application called Leonardo.ai, which is a text-to-image generator. Now, you can do this in Microsoft Copilot, but not in real time. And you can do it in ChatGPT as well, but not in real time. So look, here I've got a cat. And let me just type a few things in. So the cat is fat. Here we go. It's wearing a hat. It's sat on a mat. I'm not sure about the mat bit, actually. It's sat on a beach. Here we go. And it's raining. Okay. Ooh, the hat's gone now. But what I'm showing you here, actually, is the ability to generate images in real time. So if you imagine, particularly, for example, in primary education, you're in a classroom, you've got this open on the board, the students are talking, they're trying to describe an image, or you're trying to describe a particular scene. This kind of tool is, again, a brilliant tool that you should just have open in the background so that you can jump in and start to add some of that content in. And look, this would do anything, right? So a hedgehog, let's go for hedgehog. It doesn't just do animals, of course, but there we go, hedgehog. Sipping a pina colada. I like pina coladas. There you go, colada. There we go. On a beach. There we go. Here we go. Right, there we go. I mean, so these are images that you cannot find that image on Google. The fact that you can generate that image in seconds by itself is, again, really demonstrating the power of AI. So look, I just wanted to show you there a couple of tools that really start to open up how generative AI works. So Teachmate, Teachermatic, Oak National, these are those big applications that will take a few prompts and plan lessons, create homework activities and do things like that. Thoroughly recommend schools to use those, but just as an IT geek, I also recommend that people understand how these applications work, because really that's the magic that we're going to be able to share with our pupils inside schools. So just moving on, I want to spend the rest of this session really focusing on generative AI and generative AI in the kind of text-to-text sense. So you put in a prompt and what you get is text back. So there is a new concept in Gen AI called prompt engineering. Just the phrase prompt engineering did not exist about 12 months ago, actually about 18 months ago. Okay, and it is born from the idea that soon all of us are going to be using AI. And what is going to distinguish one person from the next is your ability to get what you need from the AI tools. Okay, that's what's going to become the differentiator moving forwards. People at work will often say that, I am very good at prompt engineering. And I use AI a lot. And I spend a lot of time honing this skill. And really, this is what this session is about today. So prompt engineering is crucial because it significantly influences the performance of AI models. So a well-crafted prompt can help the model to understand your intent better, which ultimately can lead to more accurate and relevant outputs. It can also help you to navigate the model's limitations and biases, okay, and to make the most out of its capabilities. So a big part of this is, as well as using AI, is to start to understand what the limitations are. The more you understand what its limitations are, the better you're going to get at getting what you need out of it. All of them have limitations. All of them experience hallucinations. All of them can suffer from critical thinking. So how do you distinguish between which one to use for certain kinds of prompts? And look, what makes a clear prompt? Well, it's worth noting that the AI model doesn't know you. It doesn't know your tone. It doesn't know your role. It doesn't know the role that you want it to assume. It doesn't know the context or the output you need, the structure of the output. And in many cases, it doesn't even know the next word in a sequence ahead of the text is presenting to you. That's the way generative AI works. Okay, so it's really important that you are clear, unambiguous, and that you focus on the communication aspect when you're prompting applications like ChatGPT. So how do you become a generative AI Jedi? Okay, we've spoken about a masterclass, but really in 30 minutes, I think I can do this. Okay, so we're going to tackle three things. The first one is to understand how different LLMs tackle prompts. Okay, at the end of this session, it will be evident that ChatGPT sits well above everyone else when it comes to this. They've just got the head start, and if anything, a lot of people are playing catch up, even the big guys. Okay, but it's definitely worth understanding how they're all working, because at some point in the future, ChatGPT won't be the dominant one. What makes a good prompt? And then finally, it's useful to understand the reasoning behind the AI response. Sometimes you'll ask AI a question, so ChatGPT, for example, or Google, Microsoft Copilot, and it will give you a response. And in reality, you have no idea how it's reached that response. So this idea of understanding the reasoning has gone through and the process has gone through, I think is quite important. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways of doing that today as well. Okay, so this is the selection of applications that are relevant to this particular part. Okay, now all of the ones that are kind of wiggling, so ChatGPT, Notebook LM, Poe, and YouTube Summary are the ones that I'm going to have time to focus on today. Okay, I would love to go through all of these with you, but we just don't have the time today, and we will be doing follow-up sessions so that you can start to build out your knowledge around some of this stuff. I'm not going to be jumping too deeply into Microsoft Copilot and Google Gemini. A lot of you will have Microsoft 365, and a lot of you will have Google Workspace. Now, Copilot and Gemini are built into those platforms. Okay, I have an Android phone, a Google Pixel, and Gemini is built into my phone. Okay, so you're going to be using these more and more, particularly integrated as part of your applications. But really, what I want to focus on today is just how we can build the right kinds of prompts. Now, the first thing I want to start off with is Poe. Okay, so I don't know how many of you have come across Poe, but let me fire open my screen and let me head over to Poe. So, okay, bear with me for a second. It's up here somewhere. Right, there you go. Okay, right, Poe. So let me quickly explain what Poe is. Okay, Poe is actually the third biggest LLM in the world globally. Okay, but its chances are it's probably the one you haven't heard of. Okay, it's a chatbot that's been developed by Quora. So when you do a Google search, sometimes it comes up and says Quora is trying to give you a response. It's a bit like Wikipedia, and it acts as an aggregator, right, offering access to a variety of AI models, including popular ones like ChatGPT, ChatGPT-4, and Claude. And it allows the user to interact with these chatbots for a range of different activities, from answering questions to generating content and even creating tasks and composing music and stuff like that. But look, one feature of Poe is its versatility. So it not only provides a selection of pre-built chatbots, but also allows you to create your own chatbots. Now, look, the reason why I'm showing you this one is because, because you can do this. So I've launched up Poe, I've signed in, this is the free version again, and I'm going to choose how would you explain the process of photosynthesis to a 5-year-old? Okay, so this is already built into this. So I'm just going to press that and you'll see that it's going to start. Okay, and it's going in and it's saying photosynthesis is like a magic kitten for plants. Okay, and so you can already see it's kind of toning down the language a little bit. So it's useful in that sense anyway. And also it's worth noting, behind the scenes, it's using some of the LLMs that you're paying for. Okay, but it's kind of bundled into this. Now, where it becomes really useful is down here. Okay, so this is how the inbuilt LLM inside Poe is going to respond. But actually, how would Claude respond? So Claude is owned by Amazon. So it's co-owned by Amazon, and he uses a model called Haiku. So if I press that, I'm now going to get the same question, and it's being responded to in a slightly different way by a different LLM. Okay, and if I keep scrolling down, can you see here? Mistral is co-owned by Microsoft now. They're a big share owner in it. So if I press Mistral, I'm now going to get a different kind of response. And what you can now see is I'm beginning to understand the limitations, restrictions, but also the way in which these LLMs might respond. And some of these are going to be better than others. Okay. So for example, this one talks about photosynthesis as being a magic kitten. This one talks about imagine being a little plant sitting in the sunshine. And this one talks about so this one's probably not as childish, but it talks about things like sugar and stuff like that as well. And then look, if I click on Gemini, Gemini is the one that Google has. Here we go. Plants are like little chefs. Okay. And if I click on Grok, so Grok is the one that is owned by Twitter, so Elon Musk. And this is one that you won't have used before at all, but you can see the fact that it's built into Poe means that I can start to use it. It's still waiting there. It's probably because Elon Musk is quite busy at the moment in the White House. But look, the reason I'm showing you this one, and I'm not going to spend too much of my time in it, is because you have to have this in the background. Okay. The only way you're going to get brilliant at prompt engineering and understanding the way LLMs work is by using something like Poe in your day-to-day life so that you can start to see which LLM you prefer to use moving forwards. Okay. So that's all I want to cover in terms of Poe is get yourself signed in, prompt it in the same way you would prompt an application like ChatGPT, but look at the comparison across different models. And you can already see there, lots of us would potentially struggle to explain photosynthesis to a 5-year-old. I've got 4 ways in which I might tackle that. You know, I'm a plant. Imagine a plant as a little kitten. I'm a chef, for example, and those kind of things. Okay, right. Moving into ChatGPT. So we're now going to stick with ChatGPT probably for the next kind of 15 minutes or so. And I want to introduce something called the Risen framework. So I've spoken a little bit about what makes a good prompt. Okay, now the Risen framework is effective because it provides a clear, structured approach to problem solving. It ensures that each step is broken down, making it much easier to target specific needs. And it does this by focusing on the role, the instructions, and in this example, you know, also by narrowing down based on things like year group and stuff like that. It is a guaranteed approach to make sure that you're getting good, high quality content from applications like ChatGPT. So let's see in action. I'm going to do a ton of live demos now. So I'm going to go to this one first. Okay. So this is a prompt. Okay, and a prompt is about creating a little bot that I can use in my maths lesson. And the bot's called Simplify This. Okay, and what it does is, as a teacher, I'm constantly teaching concepts that are just too difficult for the kids to understand. So I need a way that it can be simplified. And I wholly encourage teachers to have, you know, ChatGPT open in the lesson, on the board, in a tab, ready to be able to run bots like this. You know, if the kids see us using these kinds of applications, they will start to build the right habits needed for them. Okay. Now, if you look at this prompt has been designed to make sure that the AI model knows who it is. Okay. I could have just said to it, each time I ask you to simplify something, can you simplify it to make it easy for young people to understand? That is an example of a really poor prompt. A good prompt is, tell it that it's a primary maths education expert. Tell it it's got decades of experience. Make sure you tell it it works in UK schools, because if you don't, it would just make an assumption that you work in American schools because of the bias inherently built into AI. Tell it that your specialist skills are mathematics and that you really specialize in primary stuff. Now, look, I've really milked it there, but I wanted to know who it is. Okay. The instructions are really simple there. So I'm now saying that each time I say simplify this in capital letters, I want you in separate text prompts to ask me the questions below. The end goal is to provide real world, easy to understand, relatable examples for my pupils. Okay. Narrowing, always base the output on their age from their year group. Okay. Now you have to bear with me for a second because I'm going to have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it into my ChatGPT. So bear with me for a second. Right, here we go. So I'm going to copy this now, and I'm going to head over to ChatGPT. Okay, and I'm going to paste in that entire prompt. Oh wow, that wasn't supposed to happen. Bear with me for a second while I quickly log back into ChatGPT. Yep, just keep bearing with me. Of course, now you all know which username I've been using. Haven't seen a password. There we go. These things happen. Right, here we go. There it is. Okay. So you're a primary maths expert, et cetera, et cetera. Right. I'm going to kickstart that prompt. So it's going to come back. And what's going to be interesting is that you'll see it's just going to confirm that it kind of knows what it should be doing. So understood. That's it. It's come back, hasn't done any calculations, hasn't worked anything out. It is now basically waiting for me. I have created a maths simplification bot in just that prompt. So now when I say simplify this, like so, it's going to go, okay, what's the maths topic? So the maths topic is area of a triangle. The year group is going to be let's go for year 5. And how many examples would you like? Can you see how it's asking me questions? A bit like the chatbots you might see when you're on websites and stuff like that. So actually, I want 3 examples. Here we go. Right. So 3 relatable examples. Okay. The first one is a garden patch. Okay. So it's something that we could do outside. We could literally go out to the playground and try it out, and we could, try and work through it that way. Drawing a flag shape is the next one, and then pizza slice is the next one. Okay, so it's found examples that kids will have seen. They've seen flags, they've seen gardens, they've seen pizzas. Okay, and I've done that by generating this risen prompt. Okay, let me show you a couple of other prompts so that you can see how this works. So just bear with me for 1 second while I jump. Let me just, yeah, right. So let me just quickly find another one. Here we go. Swap those over, put that one there. Here we go. Right, now here is a much bigger prompt. Okay. Now, obviously the writing's going to be a little bit small, but feel free to just look in. So this role is to create an Ofsted approved lesson plan. Okay, and I use the Ofsted approved just because I know it will, work to a particular kind of standard, which isn't always relevant for trusts and schools. And also to generate a 30-minute homework task. Now, look, if you look at it carefully, there's a lot that's gone into that. Okay, I could have just said, make me a lesson plan. Okay, and actually the problem is there's too many people who are doing exactly that, just saying, make me a lesson plan on photosynthesis for my year 6 class. And the problem is where's the context? Where's the context? Where's the role? And really what you want to do is limit that kind of use of AI, because it doesn't actually give you particularly useful information. It will do something, but you're constantly going to be spending a lot of time verifying that information. So what you can see here is I've now got this huge kind of risen prompt. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into ChatGPT. So there we go. All there. Okay. Just paste it straight in, and I'm going to press the button. And then if I go down to the bottom, you can see here what it's doing is saying, right, what's the year group? What's the topic? What's the subtopic? So I'm just going to go, number 1, the year group is year 8. Number 2, the topic is, let's go for science. And number 3, the subtopic is alkalis. Okay. And what we're now getting is something that is potentially going to be easier for me to use. Okay, you'll notice that it's going into a table format. Okay, because the prompt asked it to do that. It's also going through and it's working out independent group work and stuff like that. I mean, look, this prompt can definitely be improved for sure, because it can provide more detail and stuff, and also a bit more, for example, it could provide differentiated activities and things like that. But if I keep scrolling down, you've got some glossary key terms, you've got a 30-minute homework task, and there we go. Now, if I just grab all of this text here, like so, I'm just going to come down to this bit, copy it. I'm going to fire open Microsoft Word. Here we go. And let me show you probably one of the most important things when it comes to moving content between AI and Microsoft Word is do not press paste. You've got to go right click and choose the one in the middle, which is that one. So you do that. And I've now got a lesson plan and a homework task with questions for my group. Now, look, this isn't the best lesson plan you've ever seen. I get that. But I also want you to remember how long it took me to create. Okay. when you start to get really good at this, you're spending more time building a prompt, refining the prompt, coming together as a staff team, as a science department, getting the prompt to work correctly, uploading examples of lesson plans, outstanding lesson plan examples from Ofsted, from the trust, from the TES, for example, feed it all in and then get it to create the lesson plan. And what you'll get is something that works the first time. Okay. So the important thing here is to genuinely work on that prompt and make that work. Now, I know there's going to be one question that you're all asking, which is, Sonny, that is a lot of work to create that prompt. Okay. And if anyone who knows me will know that there is no way I'm spending that amount of time to create that prompt. So my suggestion is that you build a Risen framework prompt generator. Okay. Bear with me. So what you do is you get this and then you copy this and you put it into ChatGPT. And then ChatGPT comes back and says, yes, I understand. So from now on, anything you ask me to do, I'm going to turn it into a Risen prompt. And then you ask it to do anything you want. Actually, I'll tell you what, let me just run this as an example. Here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and do this live. We've got enough time. So here we go. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say, you are a prompt generator. And it says, brilliant. Yes, I am. Fantastic. All right, there you go. So do you have a specific prompt? Yes. Okay. I create social. So I run social media. Here we go. I run social media for the school on Facebook and Twitter and need weekly campaigns. Okay, campaigns to promote admissions and parental engagement. There you go. So that's my prompt. Create the Risen prompt. Okay, now that's what I would normally write in, but hopefully after today's session, you're all going to be amazing at this. And what you're going to get is a Risen prompt. So you have a social media manager for a school focusing on admissions and boosting parental engagement. Instructions, do all of that. Steps, begin by researching popular trends, design at least 3 posts, draft captions that are warm, community orientated and informative, use calls to action, incorporate testimonials from parents, end goal, increase awareness, narrowing focus. That then becomes my prompt that I put back into ChatGPT and run it with a few more additions around what the campaigns might be about and stuff like that, and it would just work. Okay, so if you're thinking, creating a Risen prompt is a lot of work, actually, why not just get ChatGPT or the AI application that you use to do that work for you? Okay, and that probably is one of the biggest takeaways from this session, which is ChatGPT is better at creating prompts than you are. Accept that, embrace it, move on. Okay. So look, I wanted to share that with you, and hopefully you're getting a bit of a sense in terms of just, how powerful the Risen framework can be for giving you the right kind of information. I'm going to share with you another one really quickly, okay, which is something called chain of thought. All right. Now, often you'll ask ChatGPT or an LLM a question and you'll get a response, and actually you have no idea how it's got that response. How do you know it's not hallucinating? And remember, AI suffers from hallucinations in a really big way. All of them do. Okay, that's going to be something that's going to be with us for a long time. Probably the best example of one that does this out of the box is ChatGPT 01, which is the latest model by OpenAI. But look, here we go. This is a prompt that I suggest you all drop into ChatGPT and then you go back to it time and time again. Okay, and I've got here a couple of questions. Okay, so Guy Fawkes could easily have been successful at blowing up the Houses of Parliament. Guy Fawkes was never going to be successful at blowing up the Houses of Parliament. Okay, and then you've got one of these ones about apples and stuff and so on. So let me show you how this one works. I'm going to just, again, grab this prompt. Okay, I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to paste in this prompt. Here we go. So now it's going, okay, right, fine. You want chain of thought. I'm going to give you chain of thought. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that one there and I'm just going to paste it in. So Guy Fawkes could easily have been successful at blowing up the Houses of Parliament. Okay, It's a very biased prompt, by the way. I'm kind of forcing it to respond in a particular way. So there we go. So now what it's going to do is that it's going to ask some sub questions and it's going to answer those sub questions by itself. Okay. And then at the end of it, it's going to come back with a summary, as in, why does it think that the answer it's going to give me is the right answer? Here we go. There's a final answer. So while Guy Fawkes had positioned himself well and had the necessary materials, it was ultimately undone by human factors. Secrecy of the plot was compromised, leading to his discovery. But just look at all of the background reasoning that it did to get to that response. Okay. Strongly recommend you use chain of thought to start to understand more about how it reaches a response. And look, if you're doing so if you're doing some kind of business analysis or some kind of school-based analysis, for example, I would use chain of thought to make sure that it's used the right level of reasoning to give you that analysis. Okay. And again, the way to do this is to embed it into a prompt. Just so I can show you here, for example, these are the chat GPTs that I've been running so far. If I click on this one and just rename it, and I'm going to put a little emoji before it. So that's the Windows and semicolon key. I'm just going to put a little red dot next to it. Okay, so this is my Risen framework generator. And what I'm going to do is every time I want a Risen framework, I'm going to come back to that one. Okay, every single time. You can see I've already got one here. I've been using that for the last, 6 months. Okay, so definitely worth adding little things to them so that you can find them quite easily afterwards. Okay, so moving onwards, and look, hopefully you're getting a fair bit of information from this. I know I'm working through some of these things really quickly, but we will provide you with the cheat sheet for this. But the main thing here is that, just think really carefully about the prompts that you're creating and how you can get those to work better. One last thing, just before I give you a few tips on this is, look, you've got to train your AI models to stop being so AI. Yeah, I'm regularly reading things that people give me, and I think, like, within the first sentence, I know it's been written by AI. Now, look, there's nothing wrong with that, and we're moving into a world where that is just the norm. But I would strongly suggest that you train your AI models, to respond less like AI. Use less verbose language, just get to the point quicker. Phrases like advancement in the realm, I would never use that in a paragraph. Yet, when I first started using AI tools, the amount of sentences that would start with or finish with the advancement in the realm. In the cheat sheet that I'm going to share with you, I've got around 200 phrases that you can simply paste into your AI model and ask it to not use those, and it will stop using them. And those are the most common phrases that AI uses. Okay, how are we doing for time? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just kind of quickly skip through this one I was going to show you here, and I'm going to jump onto a brand new LLM. Okay, now if you've got a Google account, as in a Gmail account, standard Gmail account, or work-based Google Workspace account, you have access to this. Okay, I would say that this is the best thing I've seen in 2024 when it comes to day-to-day use of AI. Okay, it's called Notebook LM. And Notebook LM is integrated into what Google offers you. So if you've got Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, you've got Notebook LM. Okay, so let me show you what it does. Let me open up the right screen and head in. Right, so this is it. So it's notebooklm.google. Okay, and once because you're probably already signed in anyway. When you go in, it looks a little bit like this. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got my notebooks. Okay, so almost think of them as closed textbooks. Okay, so when you're prompting the AI model, it is only prompting on everything in that textbook, nothing else. Okay, so this whole idea of hallucinations and stuff, you can stop that with Notebook LM, but it does have a specific function. So let me start by showing you, for example, this one. This is a good kind of educational example. So what I've done here, so when you go into Notebook LM, the first thing it does is it asks you to upload and add some sources. Okay, now those sources can be things that you drag and drop, so they can be documents like PDFs or audio files or whatever it might be. They can be website links, they can be YouTube video links, You can copy and paste in a ton of text. You can also upload Google Docs and Google Slides, but you can also drag in a Microsoft Word document. Okay. Now, I've added 4 out of 50 into this notebook. Okay. I can have up to 50, and just bear that in mind, right? 50 is a lot of resources. And all you do is you copy the link, for example, the website, and you just paste it in. Okay. And what I've got here is I've got some examples here. So I've got the AQA English revision guides for Inspector Calls. I've got the full movie, the Inspector Calls from 2018, which is uploaded to YouTube. So somebody uploaded it there. All I've done is I put the entire film in, right? I've got the Wikipedia entry for Inspector Calls, and then I've also got the Inspector Calls book, which I found as a PDF through a very, very quick search on Google. And what this now does is it enables me to search on this set of sources. Okay, so you can see here, for example, I can create study guides, I can create tables of content, I can create briefing docs. You'll see there's some questions there as well. So for example, how does a place setting in 1912 on the cusp of a major historical change contribute to its themes and impact? Okay, these are like meaty questions, right? And what we've got there is a full breakdown of exactly how that is relevant. Okay, and you can see here, for example, you can see all of the sources where the information is coming from. It is not humanly possible to do what I'm showing you. It just isn't possible. Yeah, you know, being able to aggregate and index all of this information. And this is where AI really shines. I can also choose to just ask it, you know, so for example, I am struggling, okay, with the topic stroke book. Give me 5 ways to start to digest it. Okay, I haven't actually prompted this one before, but let's just see what it does. Nothing like a live demo. So hopefully what that's going to do is going to go off. It's going to look at all of the sources. It's going to come back and think, okay, you need a little bit of help. So let me give you some ways in which I can move you forwards. Okay. It's also worth noting that you can share the entire notebook with students on via Google Classroom or via web link. And you can see here, for example, it's giving me some information. So you're struggling. Here's 5 ways to get started. Focus on this role. Track the transformations. Examine the use of dramatic irony. I haven't read Inspector Calls, but I could probably tell you, you know, I am a teacher by trade. With a little bit of coaxing, I reckon I might be able to go out and do a half decent lesson and stuff. But look, I want to show you probably the best thing in this, right? And this for me is the game changer, but also shows you the potential of AI in terms of where it is today. So when you click on Notebook Guide, you've got all of your things that you can create. You've got suggested questions, but you've also got this thing here called an audio overview. Okay, now it takes about 3 minutes to generate, but what it does is that this has generated a 23-minute podcast based on Inspector Calls. So if I press play.
All right, strap yourselves in because we are diving deep into a play.
Oh, yeah?
That's as relevant today as it was back when it premiered in 1945. J.B. Priestley's An Inspector Calls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might have already read it.
Right.
Maybe seen a stage production.
Yeah.
But I bet we can dig up some new insights.
Okay.
Even for those who've seen it a few times.
I like it.
We've got a real mix of sources for this deep dive, essays, examiner commentary.
Uh-huh.
We've even got a stage script and a YouTube video transcript about irony up his world at the time. For oral lesson.
Is his message less important?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if you're ever thinking about where we've got to with AI, this is probably one of the best examples of just how powerful it is. That podcast took 3 minutes to generate. And as a medium, it's an incredibly good way to have on in the background or to listen to in a car or to listen to on your headphones as you're walking around. This would have been impossible to do. You know, just the production on it as well. You can see there's 2 people talking to each other. And what we've got here is something that is, as an educational tool, is going to be invaluable. You know, absolutely invaluable. I can now download this as a WAV file or an MP3, and I can place it into Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, and I can give it to my pupils to access. I can also generate a QR code so that when students scan it, they listen to it on their devices as they're getting a bus into school. And all we're doing here is making it easy for them to understand something like Inspector Calls. Okay, I'm cautious of the time, and I really wanted to share that one with you. And hopefully what you can see is it's an application that after today's session, it's the one thing that I would strongly recommend you get in, open it up, start to think about some stuff you might be interested in. So start with something personal first, your own hobbies and interests, but then start to think about how you might use it in terms of education. For example, if you've got policies around cybersecurity, GDPR, online safety, drag them all in, chuck in all the PDFs, right? Then put in links to the National Cybersecurity Centre. Then put in a PDF for the government, for the DFE's guidance around cybersecurity, and then turn it into a podcast and put that onto your intranet so the staff can listen to that. Okay, and in 15 minutes, you've got everyone pretty clued up around cybersecurity in a more accessible way. So look, just wanted to kind of share with you some thoughts around how you might start to use that, and hopefully what you can see is that it's an incredibly exciting tool moving forwards. Okay, I'm just cautious of the time. So look, tips and tricks just on the way out. So the Risen framework, I'll send over the cheat sheet via email, but hopefully what you can see, it's a very powerful way to create the right kind of prompt. And it's a perfect example of what we call prompt engineering. So when you start to use the Risen prompt, you can tell people you're an engineer of prompts and they won't know what you're talking about. But yeah, there we go. Also, really start to get the AI to write the prompt for you. Yeah, it does a much better job of making prompts. If you give it a framework like Risen, it will do a really good job. It helps to be conversational. I know this one sounds quite crazy, but if you look back through my chats, you'll see that I actually talk and potentially get a bit angry as well with the AI models that I use. And it can help to be conversational because, it helps to train it in terms of how it should converse with you. Also, don't forget, you can make it ask you questions, but also, if you want to tabulate things while you're comparing things, then why not ask it to do that as well? So look, it's worth noting that effective prompt writing is a skill that's going to grow with practice. The more you interact with the AI tools, the better you're going to become at crafting prompts. This is going to become a skill. Okay, it is what's going to distinguish all of us from each other. How good are you at using AI that everyone has access to at doing the work that you want to do, or sorry, the work that you don't want to do, the boring report writing, the document building, policy building, etc., etc. Yeah, my recommendation is get onto it straight away, and hopefully it's something you can take forward. So look, just the last slide for me really, which is if you're thinking about this whole intelligence as a service, actually, what are the kind of habits that you might take forward? ChatGPT, if you don't already use it, sign up, get the free version. It's incredibly powerful. Put it in as one of your key bookmarks. Force your browser to open it up every single day. Start to use it. ChatGPT have just launched, so OpenAI have just launched Search GPT, which potentially could eradicate Google. It's possible. These things can happen. So start using it day in, day out. You should definitely look at using Poe AI so that you can start to understand the limitations of various AI models and which ones might work better. I didn't get a chance to talk about Chrome extensions, but I'll pick that up in a future session. Please do try out Notebook LM. It is absolutely awesome. Show your teachers, get the teachers to show the students. It's the thing that's going to change how young people can learn and, start to disseminate huge amounts of information in readiness for exams and things like that. There's a website called gpte.ai, and again, I'll send the link around via email, but it's a really good place. It's got 5,000 AI tools, not all relevant for education, but it's a good place to go to start to understand just how quickly this world is developing and evolving. Look, I hope that's been really useful. Hope you managed to take some little nuggets from it. It was a fast track session. I did say I'd go off on a few tangents. The pace has been a little bit quick. But look, if you're interested in taking these sessions into your own environments or your own schools, please do reach out to us at any time. Both me and Mark are, passionate about this kind of stuff alongside other applications. We're more than happy to come out, do sessions with your staff, run additional webinars, do something focused for primary. Just reach out and let us know. I'll send the cheat sheet out on email. If you do get a chance just before you jump off, if you're okay to just scan that QR code with your phone, let us know how this session went for you. That'd be fantastic as well. I'll leave it on the screen for a few minutes, but it is 4:30 and by some miracle, I've actually managed to finish on time. So thanks so much for jumping on. Please do leave some feedback. But if you have any other questions, you know how to find us. My email's on there, plus the education email as well. Thanks for joining us.